Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and there's a pretty big update for people who are worried about that Discord age verification nonsense that's been going around. Now, in the last couple weeks, really the last week, there's been a lot of hullabaloo about Discord verifying our ages next month, ladies and gentlemen. You know, making sure that we provide them an ID that verifies if I'm an adult or, if I'm not an adult, right? So, of course, we're a little bit worried about mass surveillance and, all these organizations asking us for our driver's licenses, right? But thankfully, in some cases, Discord kind of stepped back. They cut ties with that Palantir affiliated company, which was known as Persona. Now, of course, that was a small experiment, but there's actually been a pretty huge response. And I imagine this response came out because there have been so many people who have raised a rightful stink about Discord, basically going global with this whole age verification bullshit. But also, there has been a lot of situations where people are very, reasonably canceling their Discord nitros, which is not a good thing, okay? It's not a good thing when people are canceling their subscriptions and taking their money away. But I think the damage is done. So it's time to just sit here and kind of look through all of the backlash, the sort of bullshit that's here and sort of read through it. So anyways, from the people behind Discord, getting global age assurance right. So here's the thing. They talk about where they missed the mark. So they knew this was going to be controversial. I mean, they knew it. They knew bringing this to the world was going to be bad. That I don't disagree with, okay? Many of you walked away thinking we're requiring face scans and ID uploads from everyone just to use Discord. That's not what's happening, but the fact that so many people believe it tells us we failed at our most basic job. Now, here's the thing. I really do kind of agree that maybe this blew up bigger than they expected, and the controversy was definitely huge, but I've always, in my coverage of this, pretty much made it readily apparent that most people will not be targeted by this. There is an AI that they're using, a visual model, whatever you want to call it, that makes sure that they capture a whole variety of information and then decide, who we should be capturing driver's licenses from. If they were to capture a driver's license from every single Discord user, that would be absolutely insane. Remember, we literally just had tens of thousands of IDs leak through their actual third party that was verifying for one area, one country. So imagine just letting this shit happen internationally. That would be a fucking nightmare. So I totally agree with that. I totally get it. But anyways, here's what they're doing. Did they cancel this whole push? No. No, they didn't. Okay? So we know many of you believe the right answer is to not do it at all. We hear you. We also know these changes carry different weight for different communities, and that for some, questions of privacy and identity aren't just preferences, but safety concerns shaped by real-world experiences. So yeah, absolutely. They say that teens need safeguards. The number of teenagers on Discords have significantly increased since the pandemic, and they deserve an experience appropriate to their age. At the same time, adults should be able to have the full experience on Discord. So the way that age assurance works, the verification methods, is actually shaped not by them, but by the laws around us. So places like the United Kingdom, places like Australia, Europe, multiple US states. So here's where I sort of sympathize, right? In every area they operate, there's a different variant of a law that's passing, okay? Some motherfuckers are talking about a wet portal, some people are talking about, third parties scanning your driver's licenses, and some places are talking about shit baked into the operating system. It's evolving, it's insane, and I could only imagine when you're a company like Discord, it's it's just a headache. So I could totally understand why they went out of their way to make it global instead of hey, maybe cater it here and then cater it there. It's just a headache trying to sort of match everyone's different age assurance bullshit. But anyways, to go down over here, ladies and gentlemen, they say that for 90% of people, nothing changes. And the 10% of people that do get flagged and have to give up their driver's licenses, yeah, I mean, if you choose not to verify, here's what happens. You keep your account, your servers, your friends list, your DMs, your voice chats. The only thing that changes is you're not able to access age-restricted content. So I guess anything that is a NSFW server is whatever, right? If you have to give up your driver's ID to access the NSFW server, right? So I guess that's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, me personally speaking, from them to partner with a Palantir affiliated like organization was already bad enough. And that's not even getting into the discussions. Like I showed you a few days ago, this write up from VM Funk where them and a bunch of other security researchers looked through, again, just pilfered through publicly available IP addresses and databases and saw that Palantir Persona was definitely collecting, or at least allegedly collecting, and processing more shit that they were ever supposed to do, right? Things that would get down to the really nitty gritty, shit that people probably don't want. People were being scanned against alleged databases that were looking at them for, again, being politically sensitive or whatnot, and whatnot. These were things that it's creepy. It's shit that you don't want. It's Big Brother mass surveillance stuff that people don't want in their lives, okay? And that's just unfortunately the grim reality of it, right? This is the world that we're fucking headed to. And Discord is not the only one that's unfortunately under the gun for this. So here they kind of talk a little bit about like them and Persona, for instance. So here they actually do bring them up by name. They said that one of our goals was to give options, right? So they're actually going to multiple different vendors, and they went with a company called Persona, which was used by Roblox and Reddit. So they ran the Persona test in the UK, which I can confirm. You can VPN yourself to the United Kingdom, and you can say, for example, build a PlayStation account or make a PlayStation account. You'll probably have to go through with a company like Persona. I think it actually is Persona in that case, that scans your face, your selfie, or a driver's license or a passport, whatever ID you want to give. Now, if it's up to you to trust that shit. I personally fucking wouldn't, okay? That's just me. So here they're saying when they're gonna launch this, and remember, they will actually launch this, okay? This will be a full transparency on vendors, and they'll give you real options in the product. So for them, what they want to do is they want this to be performed entirely on device, meaning that the information that is, personal to you doesn't actually leave your phone. So basically, TLDR here is they're delaying this whole bullshit to the second half of 2026 because you can't make this work in March, given the fact that who they were working with has been basically, just exposed so hard in the eyes of the world. And a lot of people have genuinely woken up to this, right? Like people are asking, why is this even happening? Why are we pushing for this nonsense? Why are we not putting the blame on a lot of the parents purchasing their children, the devices and phones and computers and laptops and tablets that allow them to access Discord in the first place? Look, I get it. The world is different now, okay? When I was a kid, the family computer was literally in the living room sometimes, okay? I didn't even get a computer in my room until, I was like a teenager until I probably touched sophomore year or something of that nature, right? And even then, right, like my parents were definitely the type of people that, would just come in, they would talk to you. They'd be like, how's your day, son? And then, they would multitask. They would ask you about your day, and they'd look at your computer monitor and go, okay, well, he's not doing anything shady or what. He's just playing this little video game, or, he's on the internet forum talking about a video game. My parents were very connected. My parents were very watchful of me and my brother. And they definitely made sure that we weren't going to chat rooms and talking to weird greasy fucks on the internet, nor were we even thinking of meeting these people out there. I get it. The world does not have parents like that everywhere, okay? That is not a universal thing. But I feel that the blame should always be put first and foremost on the parent. There are so many parental control tools that are available for every single device at the operating system level that I don't feel that, parents have an excuse anymore to not at least look at these devices and put their children in some level of parental control, right? Like my aunt does it with her kids, and it seems to have worked out just fine. Especially when it comes to giving your kids like an iCloud account, typically you do make them their iCloud account and you can sort of fit it inside your own phone. You can fit it under your own adult cloud account, meaning that you can monitor and you can control what they do, right? These are things that I feel like any parent should be responsible for. It's always the example I bring up. Like when you purchase a firearm, for instance, right? Very, very huge, like a very, very big purchase in your life. It's not a toy. It's a tool. tool, and it's a very dangerous tool in the wrong hands. You know, when you buy a gun, right, you purchase ammunition, I assume, for it, right? You probably store these things separately. You probably at least store a gun inside a safe. So why is it that, you know, we put this responsibility on parents, on guardians, that when you purchase such devices, you put them inside safes so that, you know, you can prevent children from getting undue access to it. When you buy alcohol, right, and you store it in your house, you probably should be checking for it level-wise every so often to see that maybe you're not the only one drinking it. Maybe, unfortunately, your children, somebody younger, could get access to that booze. And you don't want that to happen, right? Same thing, I think, should be applied to something like a cell phone, right? You don't just buy a kid an iPhone and you just give it to them and you don't monitor what they're doing on it, right? You and I know that the shit is crazy on the internet. We know that there's crazy people on the internet trying to take advantage of children, teenagers, so on and so forth. So why is it that you buy your kids a gaming computer, a tablet, a phone, things that, by the way, are not cheap? Most kids, most teenagers are not buying these things on their own. And here's the thing, too. These prices have jumped up so high that it only is logical that an adult or a parent or guardian is buying this stuff to begin with, right? And even if kids do end up purchasing like a device on their own, if they're living under your house, under your roof, you should at least be monitoring what they're doing with that device, right? At least that's my opinion. Kids get access to the internet, okay? If we should put parents squarely in the responsibility for this. The state should not become a nanny. We should not have a babysitting state. We should not be requiring this kind of stuff when ultimately the onus should be on the parent. It seems like we have decided that it's time to baby the fuck out of everyone. It's time to let mass surveillance into our life because parents just cannot be, you know, fucked to parent or take care of the offspring that they bring into the world. So anyways, long tangent aside, obviously, I think Discord is pretty much done with. I don't care what they say anymore. Discord, like many services on the internet, are reliant on doing age assurance, and it's actually not even their fault. It's just the world we live in. Now, for the last few weeks, I've been talking about things like self-hosting, right? And there have been alternatives that people have brought up to me, like Root, for instance, which apparently is a great Discord alternative. But the problem here is that what's happening with Discord could very easily happen to a product like Root in the next month. It's just not big enough for it. So ultimately, in the end of this, I think we have to look at the world of self-hosting. Now, this is going to be kind of a part one, a primer to a video, because while I think Discord has completely fallen apart, I don't think we should be excited about the future of Discord. I don't think Discord has a future, in my opinion. Because if you're somebody that cares about your privacy, this is a matter of time. Things have only been delayed till the end of 2026. It's not over. They haven't completely rolled this back, nor could I think they could even roll it back. So these self-hosted alternatives are great because you, being the person that hosts these things, you don't have to comply with international law. You can just build a server for you and friends that you can verify yourself and just be completely sort of isolated from the entire global matrix of all these services. So this is a service known as Stoat, for instance, which basically can be run on Docker. Now, Docker is sort of a tool, a sort of program, a framework that we use to sort of host containers, virtualized containers that contain all of these applications and dependencies. Basically, it makes it easy for us to move these things around from system to system. Anyways, Stoat basically is like a Discord alternative, almost feature-wise Discord alternative. And the thing is, it's important that it can be self-hosted. So again, I looked at the price for all this, right? I looked at the pricing for everything around over here. And, I looked at the cost for what it is for most VPS services, and generally the one that you want to go for is between $11 to $20 a month. Just having this amount of like storage, like 8 virtual cores, 16 gigs of RAM, apparently from what I've heard can get you up to a server for like 200 active users. And for me, like just for my few friends, like Siege Clan and whatnot, and the people that I talk to in the Some Ordinary Gamers community that I know are adults, it's not breaking the bank for me to like purchase a $11 to $20 month like VPS and just use it. It's what I would have paid for Discord Nitro anyways. The only difference here is I actually own my own server. I own the code on here and I can monitor it myself. Now, obviously this isn't exposed to like the mass moderation that Discord provides, But that onus is kind of on you. And that's why, for me, I want to kind of build this mostly for the people that I personally know in my life. And I think going into the future, it's this shit that we're going to have to be doing more and more and more. Age assurance, age verification, we've already lost the battle. I just want to make that a readily apparent thing. It's already a law in most Western countries. In fact, even in the United States, about half the US is slowly pushing for these age assurance laws. So all we can really do at all in order to preserve our privacy, in order to keep ourselves as safe as we can from the mass surveillance surrounding us that just grabs our data bit by bit without our consent, is to host almost everything, okay? It's one of the reasons why I push Linux a lot too, because Linux is a operating system that you can install without making a Linux account for whatever distro that you're, installing. Unlike Microsoft, for instance, or Apple even in some cases, this is a world where self-hosting, purchasing open or installing open source software is literally the only actual legitimate, uncontrollable alternative. It's actually just true freedom. So for me, I value true freedom. I really think it's the most important thing that we have left. And, I've talked about fighting for this kind of stuff, right? To me, this is an important fight. And so, hopefully before I upload the full Resident Evil 9 playthrough, I probably will have an entire video showing you guys how to set this stuff up for literally an hour of your time, I would imagine, and $20 per month. And you can probably have your own actual Discord alternative that you don't have to worry about one day out of the blue asking you for your driver's licenses and whatnot. Unless you, of course, ask for that too, which I'm sure the people jumping onto your server aren't going to be too ecstatic for it. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it. If you dislike it, I am out.